Gorgeous ones. We are in for an episode today. We have recorded many podcasts in the past before, but not one like this. And so you're either here listening on the Jaclyn Shaw Show,
For the Amy Elizabeth Show. Hello.
Jaclyn Shaw and Amy Elizabeth in the house.
We are here. We have arrived. We have arrived at our new destination, and it feels so good and so freeing and so alive for both of us in very different ways. And when we say embodiment, what we're going to get into inside of this episode is the embodiment of both of our beliefs, standards, pathways, trailblazing, role modeling, and really I want to say the rewards that we've really reaped the rewards of our true embodiment and how to do that in integrity with yourself, in integrity with your beliefs, your alignment, your personal power, your faith, your trust, your spirit, your soul, and also your decisions along the way, and how the tangible actions in our lives, we're going to be met with experiences that we actually have to put into place, our embodiment with tangible actions.
Mm. I find one thing I keep getting asked right now is, where are you at? Like, how are you feeling? My audience that's been following me on this journey over the past few years, the past few months, even people that are finding me right now today, what they're really feeling is the conviction in me showing up, like knowing who I am, being unapologetic about it. And one thing that is really backing this energy for me is what you just touched on there is, throughout the experiences of my life, it is that embodiment piece. Can I, when life is getting hard, when I'm making decisions that, could tailspin a lot of people, like, can I be more of who I am? Can I walk my talk? Can I be like the best student of my teachings and lead from there, move from there, speak from there, and not lose myself in the moments where things aren't like going according to plan, not the way that I envision them being.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I would love to really bring in, my audience that maybe knows you, don't know you, where you're currently at in a change. And both of us are at a change inside of our careers for very similar reasons, different, but similar. And we've always had so much overlap inside of our lives, which has connected us so deeply together, I believe. And at the same time, so much difference in how we go into our own work and how we really do be students of our work. And you being a 6 line, me being a 5 line, there's just such differences there. So when you say this, how have you experienced, or what have you experienced that have been really pivotal for you to look at self and say, if I teach this, if I believe this, if I'm really convicted in this, what do I need to do? Look at, change, shift, deepen within self.
Mm. One thing that I know I've witnessed for both of us, like witnessing you in the shift in your journey, me in the shift in my journey, what I've witnessed, what I've experienced in this is really that willingness that we both had to look at ourselves in the mirror, to be like, okay, and you and I have been reflections of this for each other as well. Like, where am I? Like, am I in my integrity here? Am I in my alignment here? Like, where is this truth coming in? Where am I falling into victimhood? Where am I wanting to prove something and really bringing forth the conversations? For me, it's always through the frequency of wisdom. Like, this is my line 6 energy is, I'm willing to sit with things. I'm willing to sit with things in the silence at times. I'm willing to be projected upon. I'm willing to, have experiences that don't feel great at the human level, that I could shift quickly, that I could show up and like prove it or share this or defend it or whatever it is. And for me as a line 6, it's always going to come back. I'm going to share when I've sat with things, when I've integrated things, when I've been willing to do my own work and can really extract the wisdom out of all the experiences. Like, this is it for me. It's like the lived experience, and sharing the truth about our lived experiences is the holy work.
Ooh, I love this so much. What would you say in this experience so far, like a piece of wisdom that has really landed for you that maybe you have shared or maybe haven't shared, but especially as a line six and the evolution of who you're becoming, like has something kind of like a light bulb moment where you're like, whoa, for yourself.
The biggest piece of wisdom that's came through for me is that, and I feel like there was like micro bits of this, and this was in my teachings before, of willing to be misunderstood and willing for it to not make sense and willing to make decisions that like literally like jumping into the field of the unknown. And I've definitely had, I mean, for all of it, it's like, and now can you walk your talk? But the real wisdom that comes from that is you are absolutely going to be misunderstood. People are absolutely not going to get the choices that you make. And this piece was what was more new for me is, and can you double down on who you are anyways? Not even who you're becoming, but who you are right now in this moment. Can I be more of who I am? Can I be louder? So even though I said like I'll go into periods of silence and self-reflection, not letting it take me out of my mission. Can I keep leading while I'm doing my work? Oftentimes I feel like we're like, well, I need to heal this first, or I need to be on the other side of this first, or I need to be able to shift from this lens first. And it's like we're constantly growing, evolving, shifting, changing. And can I lead through all of it? Can I lead in my power? Can I lead in my truth? Can I lead in my integrity? Can I lead with that wisdom in each given moment?
Ooh, I love that so much. And I've seen that of you. I feel like this is a different iteration and version than we've seen before. But obviously, also knowing you behind the scenes, like it's very you, just public facing in your voice. It hasn't been as convicted publicly as you are now and honest and free. Like that word free
Yeah.
of just like, this is my voice, this is my truth, and I'm completely free with that.
Yeah, and I feel even like you've always been someone who like moves fast, who's ready to just like bring it forward. Absolute truth, like no bullshit. So unapologetic. And like I said for myself before, because I go inward, because I go to that place of extracting the lesson, oftentimes I go into a place of hiding. And so in my past, I went into a place of hiding while I'm, in the processing phase. And this time it's like there is no hiding. Like there is no hiding. While you're processing one thing and one experience, can you actually get, again, louder in that mission of what you're truly here to do? And so it felt like owning my voice at a next level. But that voice is powered by conviction, what you said there. And not just conviction, but really knowing that I am the walking embodiment of my work. That if I'm preaching it, if I'm teaching it, if I'm saying it, it's also what I'm willing to live in all of it, like in the messiness of the human experience and the, magic of the soul journey.
Yeah, I love that. So beautiful. And I feel the same, really looking at myself, like you said, like we both really looked at ourselves in the mirror and like, is this okay? Is this in alignment with what I teach and I share and, how I want to continue to live my life and my career? And looking at myself and really going into the unsexy work, and that's what really has come up for me, is these smaller nuances. And I heard a quote this morning, which was really interesting. It was something along the lines of like, once you get to a certain level, there's no like red and blue, it's just green.
Mm,
And I was like, oof. Like, I feel like that's really where I was, where it's like, the bigger you get, quieter things become. And although you get louder, there's also a lot of things that become quieter. And that really did not sit well with me. And again, looking at my own integrity, my own embodiment, my own five line, my own one line, me as a projector, like, can I sit there and be like, okay, I see, and green, 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 when internally I'm feeling red, 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 red. And so for myself to be able to take a stance on something that wasn't completely like, I'm going to say imperfect, not that anything is meant to be perfect, but just for myself to sit there and be like, well, am I okay to keep going when I feel red?
mm,
And that's always been a huge pattern for me. It's like I see red, but I see potential and I see good and I give grace and I can just compensate and I can have understanding and I can, give that. And then to sit there and be like, but it's red for me. And so that was a big piece to look in the mirror and be like, am I okay with going green if I see red?
Mm.
And that was my own unsexy work to look at my patterns. And in the 7 years for me, this has come up a number of times in different relationships. And to see how the only way for my evolution to really feel like success, I needed to look at that within myself and make a decision with that.
Yeah, one thing that someone asked me recently that I feel like connects to this conversation, they're like, when you know, like, does that decision happen immediately? And for me, there's a knowing that comes in and it feels different. Like, in my body, in my being. And so there becomes a point where it's like the no is now a no, and there's no explanation needed. It's a no. And then for me to, again, stay in my own lane of truth, to stay in my integrity, to stay in the embodiment of my work, I've got to be willing to move on that and move on that quickly. But leading up to that, there was, a period of time before making, the recent decision that I made where it was like, I was more zoomed out. It was like, okay, I could see a different vision that I had, a different way that things could be, a different potential. And I was willing to play with that for a while. That actually didn't feel like out of integrity or out of alignment. It felt like there's rearranging happening and there is possibility here. There is potentiality here. But then as soon as it like drops in, as it's like, nope, like this is clear. For me, that happens very quickly because then I'm no longer willing to linger. That's when I feel like God's like, I've clearly shown you now. And now, like, you have to take the radical responsibility here. And you've got to be willing to do that now, or else everything else gets delayed. Everything gets delayed in your timeline. Everything gets delayed in what's happening around you. And for me, the experience has been with my clients. Like, there's been a massive shift in energy because I was willing to move in a timeline that felt absolutely true for me and not like you said there, like continuing to go green when it was red.
Yeah. And I think this is so huge for every woman specifically because inside of this industry or any personal development, we're often told there is no right or wrong. And you even teach this like there's multiple truths. But there's a difference between knowing your truth and there existing multiple truths and then aligning to your truth to create your reality, your future, again, on your timeline, your trajectory, your path, your desires with your standards. And I think a lot of women, what I'm really noticing in, the content I'm putting out and feedback that I'm getting back is so many women, the little people pleasing that comes in where we're like, it's okay. Because again, I can zoom out. I can see this and I can see this and I can see this. And like, I don't have to be right. And I don't need to, run with what I want and just soften and surrender and all of the things. We have to know the difference between that being okay and, like you said, something landing for you where, like, that's a hard no. That goes against my standards, that goes against my integrity, that goes against my embodiment. And then really shifting back into your focus of your timeline. And I think, again, a lot of women specifically, we're taught this from such an early age to just give up our desires. And what I've noticed in the industry too is so many women, when they do this, they back down. Instead of what you're saying, get back into your mission, get louder, get bolder, be more convicted. And that's what really has driven me so much is it's not okay for a woman to stand up and then decide to sit back down. If you have that conviction, and I don't think we have enough role models and examples to look at to be like, no, she did that and she did it successfully. And that's why people don't do it. And that's why when people do it, then they sit down and just let success or wealth go.
Wow, right when you said that, like they let the success, they let the wealth go. And again, like I said, the words that just keep coming through from here is like, can I double down here? Can I get louder here? Can I use my voice for what I'm really here for. And that has been, I mean, you've seen it for me the last few months. It's like, okay, in slight ways where I felt like my voice was restricted, it's like it's so free. It's like I am here to talk about God. I'm here to talk about God and money and to be absolutely unapologetic in that and to not soften it and to be okay with the people that are like whatever their perception of that is. And that comes with this piece. And for both you and I, it's been like I'm willing to take whatever comes with that. I'm willing to be projected upon. I'm willing to be misunderstood. I'm willing for it not to make sense. I'm willing for people to not get it because that's where like that noise disappears. It's like as I get louder in my vibration, I'm like, all those things that used to distract me, like really live in the walk of like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Mhm. It doesn't matter. And the mission matters.
Exactly.
And the focus and the trajectory and the gifts and the power that you're building, that's what matters. And in distraction for so many women, again, it's easy to look at this thing and kind of steer off the mission or steer off your power because you can feel bad and you can want to defend yourself or you can, be, how do I not, be projected upon or position things in a certain way rather than just like the free lane and going fast in the free lane.
Mm. Motion. It's like God meets us in motion. So am I willing to continue to be in motion here and in motion from a place of like absolute truth, absolute integrity? Like, what's my integrity? What's my experience within this? And am I willing to be more of who I am? And I feel like that's what's really been called upon both of us. Am I willing to have the hard conversations? Am I willing to really take a stand for the things that I am here for and that I believe in and that I think are important conversations to be having right now and to bring forth.
Yeah. And I think what I really love is that both of us are examples of the success gets to be even better. And what I wanted to bring into this conversation as well, a lot of my content is like, the dark side and like waking people up in the dark, seeing in the dark and be able to see in the dark. There's so much light. And when you hold this level of embodiment and power, personal power, you really can still have the life of your dreams, the clients of your dreams, the success. And that only comes with this level of conviction and willingness, like you're talking about. Because again, when I've, reflected upon women that have done something similar in the past and just slowly watching them kind of let go, be convicted and then let go and think that it must mean that you're not meant for it or that it can't be yours. And we've both given such incredible examples of it just actually gets to be everything you want and more.
Yeah, and don't you feel right now like this is what I feel like I'm witnessing in you. This is what I feel like I'm also experiencing. Like right now, the more that you are in your leadership and leadership this way, like that your people are really finding you right now, that people are coming in from a place of ease, from their own alignment, their own power, their own truth. The offers that you're creating, like for me, it's like I'm in such a creator frequency that it's like, oh yeah, I want to create this and then this and then this and then this and this because I actually have so much to say. And the people that are coming in and working with me, like we're going deep, we're going fast, we're going hard, like the ripples happening. And so it is just like, it's like more and more and more, but not from a place of like, I need to do more or I need to replace the income I just walked away from. It's literally like I am just being like, I mean, again, it comes back to freedom. Like I feel so free in my voice. I feel so free in my creations. And that whole energy is like really vibrating through my field right now. And again, just like not getting distracted. Like I had my entire social media deleted 2 weeks ago, my Facebook, my Instagram gone. I went from a decent sized following to there's 700 people currently following me. And I feel more like, I mean, I'm making more money right now. I'm having more impact right now. I'm having the conversations I really want to be having right now. It feels, I mean, I'm going to say like easier than it's felt in a long time.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. And we had different scenarios and situations inside of agreements. And for me, it was like showing up for what And like when you say this focus and the noise gone, because it was always like very pokeroo inside of my side of things. And I was split income of what was coming in, but it was very pokeroo of like, I don't know what's coming next or when something's coming. So it was just kind of like, I don't want to say like appease the audience, but it was like constant, like, uh, positioning for what. And like, again, as a 5-1 projector, I'm like, no, I'll position all day when I know what. And so now being able to have full reign again of what I'm doing and what I'm creating, it's just simple and easy. And when I say easy, I really want to clarify like being a match for the money that's coming in as fast as it is and simple offers that I'm putting out that again are really activating me, that also my audience are really seeking, wanting, and needing. And at the same time, a client that said this to me, and I was like, oh, how interesting. I didn't feel that way or would have worded it that way. But she's like, you know, that takes so much courage for you to do. And I was like, I didn't feel like it was courageous. It just felt like when you decide to be a leader and when you decide to have an impact, especially inside of this business through our lived lives, not just like I'm making something and selling something online and here's my PDF. Like we are leaders of our lives and our work in our lives and our lives in our work. That's what this industry is. And when you decide to do that, you're almost signing up. Like I just like always see this like invisible sign up, like I signed my name to do my work. And so that just felt like that's doing my work.
Mhm.
And so everything that's come from that is like, well, because I did that work. And yes, it's maybe other people wouldn't have done it and they would have been quieter and they would have whatever. But that's doing my work and what I signed up to do. What are we doing if we're not living in our lives and our existence through our work? We don't really have anything to bring to the table besides, again, like a PDF of what I learned in 2021.
Well, we bring things to the table that's like mind driven, the things that we
Yeah.
like think that will, I mean, to be honest, when I hear you say that, it's like, oh, then we create in a way that we think will like get us paid, in a way that we think will, create the success that we think will blah, 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 versus like being the woman who walks the walk and has the, walks through the holy fire.
Yeah.
And that's what creates the success and the impact and the ripple of impact and the income and the money, because you're willing to walk when it's uncomfortable. You're willing to, I mean, a lot of my journey is like willing to enter the unknown. Like, can
Yeah.
I be in the unknown and not go into control and not force things and not, make it mean anything? And in those moments, it's coming back to like ourselves again and again and again. Like, can I go back to myself? Can I go deeper in my connection with God? Can I go deeper in what I'm here for?
Hmm. And again, when we do that, it opens up a full channel of creation and movement and energy. And everything that this industry, and I want to again kind of shed a light on this industry, when you're willing, when you literally sign up and say, I'm willing to, and you walk through this, and again, we go through so many different stages of being an example through our work. And that's not going to end. And I really firmly believe it's not going to end. Like,
Yeah.
that's our contract with God. God said, this is your gift. I am using you here on earth. Go do it.
Yeah. And it's like what you said there. It's like, okay, what I'm willing to do, because this has always been like powerful energy for me. What am I willing to do? What am I unwilling? Like, what am I not willing to do? And anytime I say something like, I am not willing to do this, that's usually when there's like the invitation to comes up like, oh yeah, but are you gonna? And so for me, a big one has been like, I'm not willing to betray myself. I'm not willing to dilute my voice. Like, I'm not willing to, I mean, it really is betray myself and deny my soul. And then it's like, okay, but what if right now? What if like this promise comes forward? Now will you betray yourself? What if there's this money piece dangling in front of you? Now will you betray yourself? What if there's an opportunity for an endorsement or this visibility? Now will you betray yourself? And that's where ultimately we handcuff God. If we are willing to betray ourselves, And God's like, "No fucking way." And then that's when it's like, yeah, major detour. And so for me, it's like, can I just be willing to move and leap into the unknown because I'm not willing to betray myself. I'm only willing to be the truth of who I am.
Yeah. But looking at this too is that there's so much good in this industry and there's so many incredible people and there's so much that we get to do with our gift and impact. And there is not a day that goes by that I'm not in love with this industry. I've just become smarter. Really, what I'm trying to teach right now is there's a nuance between being intuitive, being a woman, working in our feminine intuition, having faith, trusting God, and being a smart business owner and a smart businesswoman and a smart woman. And when what our work is inside of this industry to actually have financial success and life success, meaning you're designing your life and your business how you want to be thriving in your world. For me, it's time freedom. I know that's a huge piece for you too. Being a really present mom, getting to do all the things, flexible schedules, dream clients, all of those things. You have to be both of these. And I wasn't as smart in several iterations of my success and my growth and my businesses as obviously I wish I could have been or would have been, but I didn't have a voice or I ignored any voices that did come in because they didn't understand the industry. So I really ignored that business smart component that needs to be involved in order for your intuition, in order for energetics, in order for faith and trust in God and all of those beautiful things that we have within us and we're so deeply connected to thrive and have success. It's like the masculine and the feminine within one, right? We need that masculine piece. And if we don't have that, we will not have business success inside of this industry. And I just want to be such an advocate for like, be smart while you're developing or growing or building the certainty and all of these beautiful components that need to be awakened within our gifts as well.
Oh boy, there. Like, I mean, do I have stories about times when I'll say chose like not to be a smart businesswoman
Mhm.
because it was like, okay, like the faith, the trust, see the bigger vision, have the patience. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here to have a massive impact on a lot of people's lives. And so taking responsibility for that, taking responsibility for being who I say I am, taking responsibility for, delivering on the things that I bring forward. Like, I've been having this conversation recently, to be honest, with a few different clients. And it's like, it's not okay to say, I mean, neither of us have sacral energy, but like, my sacral doesn't feel it anymore, or I just this. And so now I'm not going to. And I mean, if that ever happens in my world where there's like something that I'm leading in and I'm like, there's actually like, I'm feeling called to shift this, to pivot this, to change this. And it really does feel like it's for like the collective best and it's the best for the offer that I've built and for the women who are inside it. I'm going to have a real honest conversation about that and say, well, I'm feeling this call and this is what this pivot is going to look like. If that's not a yes for you, then you also are free to move on. And if that's
Yeah.
not a yes for you, like that like, I've gotta take the responsibility for whatever that is. If that's, like, giving you a refund because 'cause you've already, like, paid upfront, if that's, whatever that is, I'm gonna take the responsibility to have those conversations versus, "Oh, this is just how I feel, and this is how it's gonna be." Because this is what I've been hearing a lot from women. They're like, "This is where the spiritual bypassing comes in." If I'm completely honest, they're and it's energetic manipulation. "Oh, just trust. Just
Mhm.
have faith. You signed up in this at the beginning for a reason." Like, those are not words you'll ever hear come out of my mouth because no, if I change the like the terms of the agreement of the offer, well, other people are free to change their yes or no as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I've always been a huge advocate. If I do, I will offer, we will email. You can either have a refund, you can continue on, you can have up to this point and the rest of it. Like there's always options for people because we're running businesses.
Yeah.
And so we have to bring that mindset in with everything else. And we can't decide when we put the business component down and when we pick it back up. We have to pick it up and we have to walk with it every step of the way. And that's where the beautiful part of, I think, like true integrity comes in, is when we look at how we're running a business with our beliefs, with our faith, with our energetics, with our morals, with our standards, and combine them together. And that's what creates such a powerful, again, like you're saying, like convicted business that is only ever going to be a match for success, whether it's moral and integral success, financial success, reputation success, whatever it is, there's always going to be the reaping of benefits and rewards from how you combine these together.
Yeah, and the just, like, blindly follow to me doesn't work. Like,
No.
just blindly follow because you gotta trust in me versus, like, trust in yourself. Like,
Yeah.
we are intelligent divine beings. Like God is communicating with you, through you always, and listening to your own truth above anyone else's truth. Like that for me is really what it is. Can I be so willing to hear my truth above somebody else's and choose movement, action, words, decisions in alignment with that?
Yeah. And I gave this example today on a scene session of raising children. Are we blindly raising our children to just walk outside and trust that you don't get hit by a car? No, we're raising our children to say, okay, we know this is a busy street. We're going to stop. We're going to look both ways and then we're going to walk across. So there's such a difference in, again, being a grown woman that it's almost like things turn off. When we look at other examples, it would be, again, running a business and it's a gym or a Pilates place and it's like, well, there's no equipment, but like here's the membership and you're paying for the membership, but there's no equipment. Like you can come to the studio, but there's no equipment and there's no instructors. Or an example of like, again, we're going to raise our children to trust themselves when it's safe to walk across the street, not to be petrified to not never cross the street, but like you stop and you look both ways.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating because so much of my work is about like being in faith frequency, like being in faith, being in trust, like entering into the field of the unknown. And like that is a huge, huge part of my work. And like there's always the and piece. And it is easy for me, to be honest. It's easy for me to be in trust, to be in faith. One, because I've built that muscle, because I've like leapt into the unknown enough times, but it's not like just leaping into the unknown for the sake of being in the unknown. It's that I felt guided there, that I've been willing to speak my truth. And that's what lands me in the unknown, that I follow the soul nudge and fear kicks in and it feels scary. And I'm still willing to follow that truth. And so why I feel like the trust and the faith comes in. And I mean, to a place where I often say it's like, I absolutely have expectations on God. I have expectations on God to show up in deliverance because I'm conspiring in my favor. So, of course, God's going to conspire in my favor too. Of course, God's meeting me there because I'm taking responsibility for that. I'm taking responsibility for my part. I'm taking responsibility for moving when I feel the call to move, for, when it feels like a red light, deciding it's a red light, not a green light, for having the hard conversations, for, you know, speaking my truth, showing up unapologetically. And so that's where God's meeting me because I'm willing to move there.
And like you said, God is giving you the signs. And so when we listen to God, we are already in a place of integrity with self, with soul, with mission, with trajectory in our lifetime. We are already in integrity with it. And so, again, when you start to pair, well, I'm running a business, the message from God, integrity within that, there's only ever going to be a match when you're actually acting within it. When you start to doubt, was that a message from God? Is this doubt? Is this fear? Like, should I stop at this first sign of fear? That's when things start to mismatch.
Mm.
And that's, again, your job of self correction there within the self, within faith, within a bigger belief. And just looking at both of our journeys too, it just like hit me in the head right now. Is like, it is so crazy, like hearing you being like, I've jumped into the unknown so many times. Like, I have too. And I think like maybe the two of us can do a I know we share these stories, but like jumping into the unknown just honestly feels so natural for me. And I feel like feels the same for you that it's sometimes hard to explain how much faith and self-trust you must have after you jump. Because it's one thing to jump, but then once you jumped, it's like, now I'm really trusting myself. Now I'm getting up. Now I'm moving. Now I'm believing, like to continue to go after you jump is a whole other level of internal self trust and movement with God.
Oh my God. Well, I love that you said that that just kind of like hit you because as you were speaking, it actually brought me back to a previous podcast that you and I recorded together. And it's like one of those moments, like, I remember where I was sitting. I remember like your background. And you said to me, you're like, you're the most certain person I know. And my response back was, because I'm so certain that it's all uncertain. So what I'm going to choose to be certain in who I am,
Yeah.
certain in how I move, certain in how I use my voice, certain in how I show up. And so it's not about having certainty outside of self. It's not certainty in the outcome, but I know within the uncertainty that it's really an opportunity for me to be like more grounded, rooted, anchored in who I am, my voice, my mission, my medicine, what I'm here to do.
Yeah. And I think just putting even that into context of other business owners that wouldn't even take those big of risks.
But here's the thing, it is a conversation that feels like it's, like, hard to explain at times because when I hear you saying that, like, the risk, for me, honestly, what feels like the riskiest move is to stay still. What feels
Yeah.
like the riskiest move is to decide from my head, to decide from my mind, because your mind can only take you so far. Your mind is, like, resourcing information and
Yeah.
choices and the pros and cons list from what it's experienced before, what it's witnessed before. And if we're going to be the creators of a new way of operating, a new way of being, a new way of creation, a new way of success, a new way of motherhood, then we've got to be willing to become the creators of the evidence.
Totally. And when I say risk, again, like it's normal for like risk, like other business owners, they wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm just going to jump over here and go do that, right? There's so much thought out and planning that when we say it, and that's why this industry is so unique and so beautiful because it's like just kind of a little bit crazy. Like we're just willing to go do, where other, when you talk to proper business, business owners or whatever we want to say, they're like, what do you mean?
I know, and that's why it's wild to me because it does like it actually now at this point feels risky in my body, in my
Yeah,
being. Like as we're talking here, it's like it feels risky for me not to move that way because then I can't trust. Then, like honestly, if I don't move this way, it's hard for me to trust. It's hard
mhm,
for me to have faith. It's hard for me to leap and expect God to catch me because I'm like, oh wait, I'm kind of like toe dipping here. I'm dabbling here. I'm willing to do this, but not this. Whereas if like I am just like fully like I am ready, I'm available, am willing. That's when I said, then I place expectations on God because it's like, I
yeah.
know I'm doing my part. So of course he's going to meet me there. Of course he's going to do his.
Yeah, that feeling is unlike anything you can even describe. Like when it lands in yourself to be like, I'm willing to go, I have absolute trust. You're not holding on to anything, you're not controlling anything. You're just in this state of self trust and radical responsibility and that faith and that rapid movement. Like there's no other feeling that I can say compares to that because, like, everything is good.
Yeah.
Everything is working out better than you can imagine. Like, it's so hard to get to this place, but once you practice this and really work these muscles, it's like the best feeling in the world because you're just like, I don't need to know anything because I already know.
Okay. I feel like let's just like call this out here. Like you and I have both just, I left a collaboration where I was being paid $500,000 a year. You left a business partnership that the idea that it brought in a lot of opportunity, a lot of money, a lot of visibility, a lot of blah, 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 fill in the blanks. But what's been true for you on the other side? Like for me, I absolutely will say like more has opened up.
1,000,000%. And I think it was actually so funny at the beginning of this episode, you said something about like it wasn't about money for you. And for me, it was very much about money, standards, integrity, and money. And for me, it was like, why be in something that didn't match? You know, it's kind of like dating someone where you're like, okay, like it matches this, but like not my main ding ding ding, you know, but like maybe sometimes we can draw a line and it matches, but it's not like always there. That was for money. That was for standards. That was the way of operating, again, a proper business that felt really good for me and actually created stability of growth, both for the client experience and for self. And those things weren't matched. And now that I'm back into doing it myself, it's like all those things are completely matched. So it's like business structure, client growth, and client experience into growth, into evolution, to be speaking about the things that are actually directly impacting them, to be able to give them something that they can go take immediately and make a change if they so choose inside of their businesses and self and identity. And then the money. Like, I have full freedom to be making all of the money in the timelines that I wanna be making it, and all of that has opened up and completely matched as well. Let alone, you know, the feedback of it's kind of interesting because people have been like, "You're back to yourself." And, like, I always felt myself, like, it wasn't like I'm not myself, but there is definitely and I said this on my prior episode, like, there is definitely a very different audience and again, when you're running a business that is based upon an audience that is buying, there needs to be a voice that matches a buying experience of your audience. And therefore, my voice was definitely softer inside of that audience than what it is inside of my audience. And that has opened back up, but I wouldn't say it wasn't ever there. It just wasn't as free as it really could be. And now, again, the creativity, the expression, the openness, the ideal clients, the fast action with the clients, the like landing of their businesses changing directly. Like there's so much direct, immediate movement and change.
Well, and what I want to highlight about this and why I asked this in the context of what we were just talking about, that it's like, I mean, to many people would look at and feel like we both made risky decisions, quite recently. And what tends to happen for people, I find once they make a big decision like that, once they make the risky decision, once they enter into the field of the unknown, is that they have this idea that, well, then it takes time. It takes time
Mhm.
to rebuild. It takes time to calibrate. It takes time to, get back in your own flow or your own motion or whatever that is. It takes time for God to show up. It takes time for God to then sign the paychecks. And I feel like you and I both had the complete opposite experience. Like for me, it was pretty instant. It was right away, like, I mean, less than 3 months, I think, April. Yeah, like, less than 3 months since I made the decision to complete in that partnership. I think you're, like, maybe, like, a month,
Like, yeah, 6 weeks now
6
ish.
weeks,
Yeah,
like,
which is crazy.
and so the things that we're talking about here, like what you just explained, what you just shared, like that opening, that power, that new audience, that, you know, all of
Mhm.
those elements, like, I think this is people's biggest fear is like, well, then it takes time. It takes all this. But when you move rapidly, when you move the moment that it's like, it's there, you stand in that power and you're unapologetic and you don't linger, like God's already there, like ready to meet you, like ready to sign those paychecks. Like,
Yeah, and the resistance is what you're unwilling to do. Like, that's the resistance. And so when you remove the resistance of what you're unwilling to do anymore or stand for or believe in or, be a version of, and you're willing to, all of the results are right there. And that's where it's like, I've talked about ease so much in my career. And truly, in every single iteration of experiences similar to this, it has been my results are of ease. Like my results, my selling, my outcomes, money is all of ease. My resistance is who I am behind the scenes. And the resistance of doing the unsexy work and the willingness to do that work that creates really ease filled outcomes financially and time wise for me. And
yeah.
that's what this is just another example of.
Yeah. And for me, what I said is like really what got activated for me was the creator frequency. And then that translated very quickly into more opportunities and more speaking on stages. And like the amount of invitations to speak in stages and podcasts like has been massive for me. And it's also translated into more money. It's translated into more wealth, like walking away from a contract that paid me $500,000 a year. Like, sure, there's elements in that that's like, you know, questioning if like, is this a good decision to like make? And I replaced that income already. Like I've replaced that income right away doing what I love to do. Like this is the thing for me right now. I'm like everything I'm leading in, I'm like, oh my gosh, like my mastermind right now that launched a few weeks later, like I wanna say, like, over-delivering in it, but not, like, over-giving, just, like, it is just, like, I wanna be deeper in that, I wanna be deeper in those conversations, I wanna be having more of those conversations. My retreat that I just led, every
Oh
single
my
person
gosh,
that
and I've
came
heard
to
so much from that retreat, and again, you doing something, I think this is what really needed to happen for you in your experience of your past partnership as well, right? That you haven't been able to stand as an individual to actually serve your gifts
Yeah.
in all of the ways as you without any obligation or feeling of you can't do this and that, you know what I mean? Like just any of those things. And now you're freely all of you. And now all of your gifts are of service. And again, the feedback that I'm even hearing from your, people are like, it's just next level and a role model, like doing things other people wouldn't normally do. And that's what your gifts are. So to be able to amp up the visibility of that through what you want is just the
Yeah.
next level.
Yeah, and this is why I wanted on this podcast to name some of it for people because I think people are like, "Okay, great that you guys went into the unknown and you trust
Yeah.
yourself," but it's like, no, there's also some real, like, tangible experiences now, like, everyone that came to that retreat is rebooked to come to the retreat next year. Like, that's the thing, it's like when you move in your truth, like, your whole field is magnetic, it's fire, it's pure, I mean, again, seeing this for you and like with your offers and how they're selling it. I'm about to sell it an offer that I've never talked about publicly. It's just like, but it's like, okay, so it's selling out and it's money and it's this and it feels fucking good and it feels free and it feels like I'm really back in the like, well, you said this before and I absolutely loved when you said this, like you're in love with this industry. I actually feel like I've never been more in love with this work and this industry and my clients. And of course, what you just said there, well, this is the first time ever. Like you and I met in 2018, and this is the first
Yeah.
time ever that I've been like all in on what I'm creating in my vision.
Yeah. Which is amazing. And also, you're 40, 45.
Oh my God. I was going to say 46, but no, you're right. I'm 45.
So, for everybody listening, this is just again like the six line role model of like your years in you're finally, at 45, like standing in your own business on your own and having instant success and massive financial results. Like, this isn't just like, 10K is great, but like you're having like a lot of financial results from this. And it's just again the like, yes, there's a timeline and then there's the decision of time, your own personal timing and how fast that can happen. And I also, bringing this back to me, it's always like being an example for my kids of not just like I want to be able to give them real examples of how I could have did this, but I did this and looking at this instead of this and how do you hold your integrity and how do you hold your morals and just a funny example of my oldest daughter, there was like a volunteer, like a field trip, but like you could volunteer and is only for the girls. And so you could decide, do you want to go or not go? And her teacher called me and she's like, she's the only one that said no. It was like this aviation thing. And then I talked to her, she's like, I'm just like not into aviation. Like, what am I going to do with an aviation field trip? It was just like that example of like, yes, like I am teaching you to be fully convicted in your truth and your yes and your no, and not to feel the peer pressure or not to feel, like I should do this. And it's like, no. And it was voluntary. So if it's voluntary, it's a no, and it's just like, to not just teach it, because we often don't really have those deep of conversations about it, but to know they know I'm an example of that and what I'm instilling in them through my life and my lessons and who, they're really meant to be in their fullest potential too.
Mm. Gosh, I mean, I feel like we could go into a whole entire different podcast on like this piece and like, you know, who we show up
Yeah.
as mothers and what we are modeling for our kids. Like this for me is such a power of this work as well as like what we're passing down, what we're modeling for our kids and what we're willing to, also look at, like you said here, like look at and look in the mirror and do the unsexy workaround so we don't just hand it over to our children in this like wrapped up box that sits on their shelf and be like, here, you unwrap that one day.
Yeah. And same thing, like you said, for your clients. Like your clients are moving faster than ever. Like my clients are going into like the work right now and really seeing themselves and building these identities. And like, this is what we have to be. And this is why we wanted to like hammer home embodiment of your work. Because if you are not, you will not be able to support clients doing that. And clients will not do what is really required in whatever form that is, unless you're doing it actively. Same thing with our households and our children, our relationships. Like it has to be because we're embodied.
And I don't even think that that's like, to be honest, like, well, actually, I was gonna say I don't think that's an option anymore, and then I'm gonna call myself out on that because that's actually a lie. Like you can, make a shit ton of money and not be an embodiment
Yes.
of your work, and that will continue. But I do feel like there's just a real call right now, and there's different experiences being had that's gonna help, I'm gonna say even like clean up this industry a bit and hold more
Yeah,
integrity because I feel like women are calling leaders in this industry into deeper integrity and deeper embodiment. And that is like a movement that I definitely want to be part of.
absolutely. Me too. And what I was saying to somebody else today is that like there used to be so much gray space. And now I think people are just saying it's black or it's white. You either are or you aren't, or you go into an offer that you think is something and it's not. And there's less of holding the like you were saying, the space in between and the vision and the like it could be and the trust me. And it's just like, no, this isn't what I signed up for. It wasn't what I thought it was. You're not who I think I am. Like it's just so much more black and white, which I think is going to be very beneficial, specifically for people's growth and bank accounts.
Yep. Yep. Having that, like, again, that like level of clarity, that level of integrity, that level of, you know, radical responsibility, but on both parts. I think this is like another thing that I've been seeing too and experiencing. It's like, okay, like either like put all the radical self responsibility on the mentor or put all the radical self responsibility on the client. And it's got to be radical self responsibility and discernment from all parties.
Absolutely. And I think this is a really important point specifically for me that I created my life and my results from radical responsibility. And I had a hard time knowing when someone else needed to be responsible. And that really has been something I've needed to see within myself, where it's like, I could take responsibility for so many people all the time. And again, fifth line shadow and sexy work there. But it's like, I created an amazing life and results from my radical responsibility. It was kind of hard for me to put that down. And that really was this decision was putting that down, where it's actually not my responsibility anymore. And there
Yeah.
is no more radical responsibility that I can take that is healthy for me and my potential and my growth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've said this to you a million times in our private conversations too. It's like I'm willing to take like that radical self-responsibility for me, but it's like how many times have I said to you, it's like, and I'm not responsible for that. And I'm
Yeah.
not responsible for the way that person responds. And I'm not responsible for the story that they're creating. And I'm not responsible for, you know, other people to get it. And I'm not responsible for like that actually was a piece that I had to let go of in a different way too, is like where, I held on to things wanting it to be more comfortable, not for myself, but for other people. And it's like
Yeah.
that is not my responsibility.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that we're both in full personal power, freedom, our missions in so many beautiful overlapping ways and so much. I also think it's just really healthy for people to see examples of how we're saying two different things right now. And there's massive overlap. And I believe in everything you're saying and stand by it, and vice versa. It's like I think we're on missions on both sides to raise people up while speaking on two different topics.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And this is why, I mean, that I say like multiple truths get to coexist. And it's like everything needs to also be looked at through the lens of like what you're experiencing right now. And so there's times where it's like, in this context, like taking more radical self-responsibility and times where it's like, nope, I've actually got to drop that like level of responsibility that I take that then has me, saying green when it's actually red, that has me, overcompensating, that has me people pleasing, whatever that is. And it comes back to a word you used earlier, like the standards that we hold, the standards that we set energetically for ourselves and for others, like the standards we set in our field.
Yeah. Also, I'm just really grateful that both of us are examples of continued evolution inside of this industry because, I've read a couple things in a couple different places, and it's like, I don't know what people also think because it's like, why would we not continue to evolve in so many different ways? I guess less people are outspoken about things, but the job is, again, that we sign up for is evolution and is growth. And if we're not actively doing that, let alone showcasing that, I don't know what we're doing in this industry, so I'm just want to say I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of us to really be showcasing very loudly and advocating for what continued evolution and change looks like, to not say that, we necessarily did everything wrong and also that we weren't complete perfection angels inside of the situation. There was stuff for each of us to clean up in our own ways. And there was stuff that was fine until it wasn't fine. And then when it wasn't fine, massive change happened, right? So it's also looking at the whole entire picture instead of just snapshots. And again, like the evolution is the calling.
Yeah, and we've got to be willing, right? Willing for that growth, willing for that evolution. And along with that, like not only are we growing and evolving, but as we grow and evolve, like truth grows and evolves as
Yeah.
well. And so being willing to be like, hey, and sometimes I do feel like I'm a walking contradiction in the sense of it's like, well, this is my truth right now, and this is my truth as of today. And so again, but being really willing to have that conversation and to bring it forward and placing truth above. But for me, it's like very strongly like placing truth above all else.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Where can everybody find you now? New Instagram handle.
Where can we find me now? Well, as of today, at the.Jaclyn Shaw on Instagram. Obviously, if you're listening here on the Jaclyn Shaw Show, those are the two spots.
Perfect. And you guys can find me on the Amy Elizabeth on Instagram, Amy Elizabeth on Facebook, and Amy Elizabeth Show on podcasting as well.
Mm,
All right.
amazing. Thank you to everyone here listening. Amy, I mean, you have been such a instrumental like friend, person, woman to like walk this journey with. And like I'm so deeply grateful for you and our friendship and our leadership together. And I'm really excited for both of us for what comes next.
Me too. I'm so proud of you. I love you. And let's continue role modeling and leading.